na wake wengine. Mnajifanya hapa ati sasa mnaanza kudefend Kanyari, na nyinyi mwenye mna defend watoto wenu hata mjui penye wako. A lot of you men have children out of wedlock. You don't even know where your kids are. Where are your children? Si mnanikwanga hapa kila siku. Mmekataa kulisha watoto wenu. Mnakuja hapa kujifanya ati mna defend Kanyari. Where are your children? Watoto wenu wako wapi? Most of you that are talking about Kanyari na mnamsupport, mumezalisha wanawake hapa. Tunaletewa kesi zenu kila siku. Si mnanikwa hapa kila siku. Kwani hatuwaoni? Mnakuja hapa na makesi 24/7. Wengine wenu mnakuja hapa mnatudanganya ati mko na watoto kwa mochari. Bado tunatafuta mpaka leo. Si tunatafuta watoto wenu kwa mochari mpaka leo. Mnajifanya hapa ati mnajua kujua. Na nimeona watu wameanza sasa kulipwa kuharibu jina ya Betty. I'm saying this and I'm saying this very clearly. Listen. Betty Bayo is dead. Tarnishing her name is not going to do anything. What is important right now is the safety of the children. And we must talk about Kanyari and his history ya ubakaji. Whether you like it or not. Hatutaacha. Umesikia? Betty will not respond to you. She's gone. Sawa. She left a clear legacy. And Betty lived a life that she recognized her power, she recognized her safety, and we must commend her for that. Betty has more courage than many of you. Unasikia? How many women are not able to leave toxic unions? How many women are not able to leave abusive men? How many women are stuck in relationships that are bad, that are abusive, that are dirty, that are degrading, and are not able to leave? But Betty Bayo managed to leave a bad relationship with a bad man. Okay? She managed to leave, she picked up her pieces and built another life with another man. There is power in that. And you're out here judging her. Nobody. People should learn from her. She is a clear example of a woman that recognized her power. She recognized abuse and decided this is not what she wants. And she decided to move and find a better life. She loved herself. She loved her children. She wanted to create a good environment for her children. That is the legacy of Betty Bayo. Whether you people try to erase it or not, it is there. It is stuck, and we will remember because we know. We know the history of Kanyari. We know what happened with 310. We know how he tried to coach women. He tried to fake miracles. He tried to create lies about treating HIV. We know his history. And Betty...
Hello guys, it's your girl Patience Status. Welcome and welcome back to my YouTube channel. If it's your first time here, make sure you hit the subscription box and put on the notification bell so that you're not any time I post a new video. Remember, I'm the queen of online gossip. So welcome to today's video. Don't forget to give it a like and leave a comment on the comment section.
Facts. Mangombe, kuna mangombe zimekaa mahali, mangombe, mavichwa pomblo, women with low IQ. Wameenda kukaa mahali eti wanasema ati jina ya Pastor Kanyari sio hiyo jina tulisema. Mangombe. Ebu, can you tap and share this live? Sawa. First of all, tukiaddress mangombe, tunawekea mangombe jina ya mangombe. Sawa. I'd plan to come live and talk about, and I will continue calling Pastor Kanyari mbakaji. Kanyari ni mbakaji, alibaka mtoto wa miaka 4. Sawa na miezi 6. Na koti ilimpata guilty, na niko na records zote liko hapa. Na narudia kuziweka kwa live yangu vizuri kwa sababu because najua na deal na wanawake wajinga wenye hawana akili, wanaenda kukaa kwa platform eti wanauliza meaning ya alias. Seriously, this is why I say when you lack comprehension skills, don't come to challenge me. Kwanza kama uko na akili ndogo and then you don't understand how the law works, please don't come to challenge me. Kama unataka uni challenge na evidence kutoka kotini kusema ya kwamba koti haikuenda hivyo. Sawa? Si ndio? Alias ni kama AKA. Alias ni kama AKA, it's like a pseudonym. Halafu unapata matakataka zimekaa kwa platform hati zinataka kusema eti jina ya Pastor Kanyari hati ni Victor Kanyari. Wanawake wajinga. Kwa hivyo tunadediketia wanawake wajinga wimbo kwanza, alafu tunawaekea evidence. Sawa. Today trying to talk about Kanyari's case. Nimeona wanawake vichwa pomblo, wanawake vichwa zao zimejaa makamasi. Wale wanawake wajinga, those who don't know how to research. Wanawake vichwa maji. Wanawake akili ndogo wamekaa kwa platform ati wanajaribu kudiscuss. Ati jina ya Kanyari ni wajinga. Kwanza, first of all, I want to go very slowly. And I'm going to pose a challenge. Anybody that wants to claim that hakukuwa na kesi ya Kanyari kotini, go and dispute these documents I'm putting here. Maumbwa. Wanawake vichwa maji, hawafikiri. Mnakuwa kwa platform instead of going to do research. I put everything out. Go and do research before you open your filthy mouths. Na nimesema Kanyari aka Paulika is ni mbakaji. Records were found in court very clearly. Eti alibaka mtoto wa miaka 4 na miezi 6. Alafu kuna wamama wameenda kukaa pale ati wanajaribu kusema ati it's not. What's an alias? First of all, let us go to Google, because Google will help dimwits like those women sitting on the platform. What is an alias? Tusome hiyo what an alias is. Okay guys, what is an alias? Go to Google everybody. Sawa, tusome what an alias is because I don't want to complicate matters for these women. I know they are slow. Block you umbwa. Inaandika hapa ati the guy is grieving work. Ana grieve mamako. Jinga hii. Unaniambia mtu mwenye alibaka mtoto hapa ati ana grieve. Alikuwa ana grieve nini? Stupid. Now, what do you mean by alias? This is to the Vichwa Pomblos. And Vichwa Pomblos, go to Google together with me. And those of you who are here, oh, by the way, comment section, habari zenu sijawasalimia. How is everybody? Poleni sana. Poleni sana. Poleni sana. I hope all of you are fine. How is everyone? I'm waving, saying hi to everyone. How is everyone? Tafadhali, where are you watching from? I am from the East Coast, Pennsylvania. Habari zenu, habari zenu. Asanteni, asanteni. I hope that everyone is fine. Poleni. Nilianza na asira kabla sijawaongelesha. So anyway, the reason why I've opened this live is because I hate when people lie about things like nini kubakwa na things like GBV na vitu kama mtoto kudifailiwa. Unasikia? I hate it when people come up with lies when they have not read, yani hawajafanya research at all, but wanaenda kupanua mdomo zao na mavichwa zao ziko maji kwenda kukaa kwa platform. Nachukianga wanawake kama hao. Napenda wanawake wenye wanasoma, wanaenda kufanya research. Sipendi wanawake wajinga. Kama wewe ni mjinga nachukia, because ujinga inafanya wanawake wanasema vitu za ujinga kwa hii platform. Na sipendi. Sawa? Haya. So, and by the way, siogopi kutaja majina. Kwa platform ya FYP kuna wanawake wajinga. Thick women. Stupid fools. Now, I'm going to tell you something and I'll take you through this so that you understand. Sawa sawa? Ndio narudia hapa. Mimi mnafikiria mnaweza mkani challenge na ujinga. If you're gonna challenge me, you're gonna use facts, not stupidity or feelings. Now, first of all, eti wameenda kusema ati alisema jina ya Kanyari, sio hiyo na hiyo sio jina ya Kanyari. Now, let us go to the facts of the matter. What is the meaning of an alias? Because that's the word the court used. You are not late, planets. How are you doing? The meaning of an alias. And I'm reading from Google. When you wako Google na mimi, comment section, muniambie. IJR, it's a nickname. Sindio? An alias is a different name, often a pseudonym, assumed by a person to hide their identity. But it can also refer to a shortcut command in computing or an alternative name for a person or a thing. Tumeelewa? Ni nani amefika kwa Google akaona? So, I have a question. When you are taken to court, comment section munisaidie. Ukienda kotini, wakiwa wanakuandikia kesi ama ukikamatwa, wataandika kwa court, jina ya kwanza itakuwa jina yako ama itakuwa hiyo alias? Ebu mniandikie hapo chini. When you go to court, when you get arrested, which names are usually in the charge sheet and what do they use to make sure what do they use to identify you? What do they use? Sini jina yako kamili, alafu alias ndio itafuata. Sini real name first. Na hiyo real name iko kwa ID, si ndio? Ama? Si hivyo? See your legal name, and it is legal. Unasikia? Your legal name will come first, then they will say alias or aka nani nani. Kama sahi my name is Diana Rose, watasema Diana Rose aka nani. Unasikia? Anyango or Owuor. Unasikia? Sawa. That is what usually happens. Sawa. And that is what the court did in this instant. Wacha niwaeke evidence. Wajinga hawa. Wacha niwaeke. They put both. Who has asked you? Are you not hearing what I'm saying here? It's the same thing. Ni nini unasema? Munaona hii kitu vizuri? Munaona hiyo kitu? Ngoja nitoe hii kitu. Are you guys seeing? Can you guys see? Ebu oneni? Can you guys see this thing vizuri? Munaona? The real name of Kanyari is Jackson Paylan. Mnasikia? That is his real name. Then his alias is Pastor Kanyari, which means Pastor Kanyari is not in any identity card. Which Opomblo? Do you hear me? Are we together, guys? Ebu mniambie kama tuko pamoja. Tuko pamoja na nyinyi comment section. Tuko pamoja, mniambie. Are we together? This is the court document ya Kanyari. This is the case yenye alibaka mtoto. Na kesi namba ndio hiyo iko hapo juu. Wajinga waende waangalie. Republic of Kenya in the High Court of Naivasha. Criminal Appeal EO001 of 2021. Okay? That is the name of the judge, Macharia J, for May 26, 2022. Wamama wajinga wapumbavu wamekaa kwa platform eti wanajaribu kuchallenge the facts of the court. Wajinga, fools. Ndio hii hapa, court document. Go and look it up. Go and look up that document. Foolish women. Okay? Until you sit on a platform and you've not done your research. That you talk about nye. Block huyo Gladwell Jones. Peleka ujinga huko. Ujui kusoma kizungu? You don't know how to read? In 2021 when this appeal was being done, this was his name. When you are being taken to court, your legal names on your ID, that is what they use. Ukiwa kotini hakuna alias inatumika. They will mention your nini? Your alias. They will name it. They will just mention it because those are other names you use. That's why they say AKA. Unasikia? Ndio maana wanasema AKA. Jina yake, the real name ndio hii, Jackson Paylan. That is his real name. Hiyo ndio jina ilikuwa kwa ID wakati alikuwa ameenda kufanya nini? Kufile. Unasikia? Victor Kanyari is his other name, his pseudonym, and other names that he may choose to use. Umesikia? So when you go to court, the court will use your legal name. That's the one that they will put first. Tumeelewana? Unasikia? Ngoja kwanza Magina kuweka juu. Nataka kuweka hiki kitu chini. Ngoja kwanza. I was explaining the meaning of alias. So, ukiangalia hii document hapa, this document, it was for a case that was there in 2022. Mnaona hapa hiyo kesi? By May 2022, ndio hii hapa. Umesikia? Kesi ilikuwa May 22, 26, waliweka hapo. 2022, May 26. Sawa? So sahi Kanyari hata akijiita popo, ajiite watermelon, hizo ni AKA. Ukienda kotini, jina yake ni Victor Paylan. Ndio hii hapa. And I'm telling you, can you go? Okay, ngoja Priscilla Gesa. So get blocked. Go away from my love, bitch. Don't sit on my live. Unafikiria hii ni live ya kuhesabu nini? Ndizi na nini? Na matunda. Takataka hii. Ati unakuja hapa ati so what? Ni accept Maggie. Nivo. Maggie, how are you doing? How are you doing?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. You know, I've been shocked at whatever discussion these women were holding because it's really shocking that people don't know the meaning of the word alias. And now I want to give you guys a chronological change of names that Kanyari has used, Pastor Kanyari has used over time.
Do you have a document? Do you have a document we can put up?
I've just had to dig up information. It's information that I've dug up. I wouldn't really like put it.
Like I'm saying, like, do you have any case? Okay, in reference to case by case. Let's go.
It's in relation even to his own cases.
Yes.
So pre-2017, pre-2017, Pastor Kanyari operated publicly as Pastor Kanyari. Ministry work and public persona were under that name and no publicly recorded legal disputes yet. Pre-2017, Pastor Kanyari had no legal cases or whatever disputes in the public domain. Come 2017, the defilement case begins, a criminal case involving a child. Court filings were done using the name Jackson Pailan as his legal names. Media at the time was still calling him Pastor Kanyari. It's the name Jackson Pailan was actually being used in court. Come 2017 to 2022, from 2017 to 2022, that is when the Mbegu had written scandal started, where he had asked followers to send a seed of 310 for miracles. Public and media still called him Victor Mwangi Kanyari, Pastor Victor Kanyari. Or sometimes they would call him Pastor Bishop Mwangi. Actually, after the Mbegu 310 scandal, he actually moved from the Kanyari name and started calling himself Bishop Mwangi. He was attempting to rebrand.
Oh.
You understand?
Oh,
yes.
So Bishop Mwangi is another name.
He's also his name, yes. It's a name he tried to use at the time. You understand? Then come May 26, 2022, there was a high court judgment. There was a high court judgment on the case that you guys were discussing the other day, and the conviction reference to him as Jackson Pailan, alias Pastor Kanyari.
Yes,
so that
thank you.
In Kenya's legal system, Jackson Pailan / Pailal is the recognized legal names of Pastor Kanyari. Pastor Kanyari is the alias.
Hapo sasa.
So, October 31st, 2025. October 31st, 2025, the court dismissed his appeal on the sexual offense, whatever conviction. The name recorded was Jackson Pailal alias Pastor Kanyari. So that reaffirms that the legal identity of Jackson Pailan also remains, and is the whatever is the legal name, and then the alias Pastor Kanyari is the name that is being used as public and ministry identity.
Bas, hivyo tu. And there is no way. Yeah, and that's the truth, because the last case date ni date gani? Ebu niambie, when was the decision made for the last case?
The decision was made October 31st, 2025. Just recently.
Exactly. Guys, go and look up the court case number. Ndio hiyo. Kesi court ya number ndio iko hapa. Enda msome. These are legal documents from Kenyan law. Ndio hiyo hapo. Go and check the records for the court. They are up there, clearly indicating his real names. Ukienda kotini, majina yako ya ID ndio zinatumika. Your names in the ID are the ones that are being used. And then if you have other names, they'll be mentioned as AKA. Unasikia? Or alias. That's what usually happens. Lakini somebody sitting on a platform to lie to the masses. Ati jina ya nani? Ati the appeal case kwenda huko. Mtu black. Unajua kusoma kizungu ama ujui? Ati the appeal case was thrown out. My friend, let me read for you the outcome of the appeal case. What are you saying? Which appeal case was thrown out?
Wanna calm down so that uendelee na this one. I just wanted to give that chronological, tutarudi baadaye. But the conclusion or the takeaways on this are simple. Number one, Jackson Pailan, those are legal name for criminal matters. Number two, Pastor Kanyari stroke Pastor Victor Mwangi Kanyari stroke Bishop Mwangi, those are public or ministry aliases. Number three, there is no corporate registration under these names that is publicly available. Na nimeshuka tu.
Thank you. And for the record, nani? Magi ameshuka already. Ngoja. Magi ameshuka already. Magi ameshuka, ngoja. Guys, nataka kuwekea muziki kwanza hapa. Niende nilete hiyo simu yangu ingine niwasomee sasa documents zenye zinaonesha huyu mtu alibaka huyu mtoto, mpaka reports za zenye zilifanywa kotini. Msome ndio muone, msikie sasa. Unasikia? Na watu waende wasome, usikae kwa platform ukipanua mdomo yako na akili ni ndogo. Don't have a mouth that is bigger than your brain. Acha akili yako ikuwe kubwa kidogo kushinda mdomo yako. Hati mnakuja kusema hati jina ya Kanyari, nilikuwa shocked kusikia jina ya Kanyari. Wanawake wajinga. Mnakaa kwa platform na you don't have yani you can't even read. You don't know what an alias is. You don't know? An alias is a pseudonym, a name that someone chooses to use that is different from their legal name. Sawa. Chukweni hii case number, wende mkaangalie the nini. Wende mkaangalie. Sawa. Go check. This is not something I've created. Endeni mkaangalia, mtapata kila record iko huko. Kuna kesi mpaka ya 11 year old. Ngoja nitawaletea hapa. Mnasikia? Kanyari ako na makeses mingi. Kuna zingine zenye alisettle mpaka out of court, my friend. And mimi I've said it. Anybody mwenye ni mbakaji Kenya, mwenye anabaka watoto wadogo, nitamhanda, nitaleta victims, watapanda kwa platform na nitaongea na hao, they will tell their stories. That's something that I must do. Unasikia? Mbakaji hata kuwa pasta, hata tembea hapa free. Sawa. Hivyo ndio vile itakuwa. Mbakaji lazima akuwe exposed, especially mwenye anakaa karibu na watoto wadogo na watu wanamuexpose. We are not going to allow that to happen. We are not going to let mtu mwenye anabaka watoto kukaa hapo free. Ni kama ati is having a free ride. And then unapata wanawake wajinga wanakaa pale ati wanasema ati Diana Rosa anachukia Kanyari. Fools. Wanawake wajinga. Namchukia? Yes, nachukia mtu mwenye anabaka watoto. Utapenda mtu anabaka mtoto wa miaka 4? Nani anaweza kupenda watoto wanne? Wa mtoto wanne? Wewe, mtu black, msiblock huyu mtu black. Nataka kumwekea hapa kesi vile ilisema. Eti anasema appeal case was dismissed. Mijinga, kuja nikuwekea hiyo document hapa yote. Nataka kukuwekea. Uniambie pale ilikuwa dismissed. Mjinga hii. Usimblock, mwache hapa, nataka kufungua hii document sasa. Tufungulie wajinga documents waone. Sawa. The whole thing. By the way, it's a 6-page document. And I have also told you, go check. This is the court. Mnaona? Mnaona hapa? Citation. Ndio hiyo. Go and check this. The case number iko hapo. Sawa. Mimi nimejua kuna wanawake kwa hii platform watalipwa na Kanyari. There are content creators that are currently being paid by Kanyari to come and sanitize his name. It will not work. Kanyari tutamu-expose. Even if we will continue doing it, we are going to expose him mpaka mwisho. There are content creators on this platform that are being paid by Kanyari currently, so that they can come and change the narrative about mbakaji. Kanyari ni mbakaji, alipatikana na ubakaji na kesi ya ubakaji ilimshika. Kwanza alienda pale akabaka mtoto na lazima niwasomee everything, every detail vile ilikuwa kwa kesi. Mnasikia? This is the case that I'm going to be reading for you. Mnaiona hapo? It's the same one. Hii hapa. Hiyo ndio kesi ya ubakaji. Tutaisoma mpaka mwisho. It is a 6-page document. Mnaiona? Mnaiona? Hii ni ya Kanyari. Hiyo yote. Hizi ni report yote ya Kanyari. Mnasikia? Tumeelewana? And you can go and look up everything. I'm going to read it for you. Ama niwaonyeshe hivi tukisoma sisi wote pamoja. Tutasoma pamoja. Muone details. How gruesome, how cruel this man is. Mwenye kushika watoto wadogo. Hata hana aibu. Tutaisoma pamoja tukiwa na nyinyi. Sawa sawa? Hivyo ndo vile itakuwa. Ngoja nitoe hii hapa. Mumeshachukua hiyo screenshot? Have you taken the screenshot up there for the case file? So you can go and look up the case file yourself. Na uilete. It's good for you to take the case file number hapo juu. Tafadhali mchukueni before nitoe. Mwende mka look it up. You will get all the details. Ziko kila kitu kapo. Mwende mkachukue. Mwende mkasome hizo zote. Unajua kila kitu mwende muangalie everything. Sawa, naeka hapa muziki, naleta hiyo simu nyingine niwaoneshe some very disturbing videos about Kanyari before we continue. Sawa. Haya, hebu ngojeni kwanza. Ngoja kwanza na nini? Nakuja tu saizi. Let me get my other phone that has other documents.
Readers, Black Friday is here and the best
Women sit and try to undermine a case that actually went to court when a minor alikuwa amebakwa mpaka medical reports zilikuwa submitted na zikapatikana, and that's what I'm going to be reading for you here. It is shameful that we have a group of women like that in Kenya who sit on a platform and try to undermine the experience of a minor, a 4-year-old girl that alikuwa amebakwa na Kanyari. Unasikia? Kanyari aliita mtoto akiwa anacheza nje na watoto wenzake, akamuita, akamlua into the house, alafu akambaka. Aibu. Wanawake wenye hawana heshima for womanhood. Mboro protect. Thank you so much, Nancy. Wanawake wenye hawajiheshimu. Unaweza ukakaaje kwa platform to defend mwanaume ambaye koti ilimpata, the lower court found him guilty. Then he appealed and the appeal was thrown out because they found him guilty, and he tried again until now 2025, and he was still found guilty, and he's supposed to be serving a life imprisonment. That is what was decided in the experience of a minor. Shameless women, fools. Ati mmekaa hapo, ati mnajaribu kusema eti anachukiwa. Anani kwa nini tusimchukie? Kwa nini asichukiwe? Mtu mwenye anabaka msichana wa miaka 4, nani anaweza kumpenda? Nani anataka kupenda mbakaji? Mtu anaenda kuchukua mtoto wa miaka 4 akiwa anacheza pamoja na watoto wenzake, alafu anamuingiza ndani ya nyumba, anamlua. That is what the court documents are saying. And that's what I'm going to read for you. And if you want to go and confirm, I have put for you the court number there and the case number there. Mwende mkafuatilie, kila kitu iko pale hivyo. Kanyari alibaka mtoto wa miaka 4 na miezi 6. Na alimbaka mpaka medical reports zilionyesha kila kitu, everything. His DNA matched the DNA ya sperm yenye ilipatwa kwa mtoto mdogo pamoja na damu. And I'm going to read these things because it's important that I read it for foolish women that sit on this platform and encourage mwanaume mwenye anabaka watoto wadogo. Wanawake wajinga wenye wana akili. That is why they cannot protect other children. In fact, including a big woman who is supposed to be a custodian of schools that don't even exist in her head. She sits on that platform and she's supporting and trying to claim ati tulikuwa tunasema jina yake ni Jackson Pali na ati si ni uongo. Hamna akili, hamjui ya kwamba mtu akienda kotini ni legal names ndio zinatumika kwanza. Nani ameleta hii umbo kwa live yangu? I'm very mad. I don't want dogs on my live. Sitaki maumbo kwa live yangu. Umbo zitoke kwa live yangu. Unasikia? Ati unauliza, ati I'm very shocked, ati nimeshtuka sana, ati anasema jina yake sio Pastor Kanyari. Stupid. You don't know what an alias is? Who told you that in courts aliases are used? Aliases are mentioned beside the real name. That is what happens in court. Anybody mwenye ako na akili anajua hiyo. Kotini ukiwa una file kesi ama umekamatwa, the names on your real ID is what is put in court. Alafu kama uko na majina mengine unaulizwa, alafu zinaekwa hapo kando. That is what usually happens. And that is why the court document is very clear that Jackson Pilian is his name, even up to 2025, even after the appeal. When he was first arrested in Naivasha, when he was charged as Jackson Pilian. And then his other names were Victor Kanyari. Okay? And then when he went to court again in the lower courts, he was taken to court as Jackson Pilian. And then it was AKA Pastor Kanyari because Pastor Kanyari is an alias. And then when he also went to appeal, and the grounds of appeal were dismissed because he claimed that his rights were violated, his constitutional rights were violated, if you read the document, okay? And then he said that he did not get a due process, and he could not prove why he thought that his rights were violated. Everything is here, and I'm going to read it for you. It's a 7-page document because it's important for some of you to be educated so that you understand what the law says. You can't sit on a platform as women who are supposed to be protectors of children and minors, and you sit there promoting and supporting a man that is on record to kubaka mtoto. Shameless women, mboro protectors, and you are there trying to define if he's an alias or not. Fools. Wanawake wajinga na wachukia sana. Hamna akili. How can children be trusted with you people? When you see you are trying to sanitize mwanaume mwenye alipatwa kotini ya kwamba alibaka mtoto, ati umekaa pale unajaribu kumsanitize. Shame on you. Kama ingekuwa ni watoto wenu, you would have behaved the same. Do you know what happened to that kid? That 4-year-old girl? Do you know where she is now? Unajua ako wapi? Unajua maisha yake? What about the parents? What about the trauma? Do you know that that's a life taken away? Do you know what happens when a child is defiled? Do you know the amount of trauma? How do you think that kid is? Unafikiria anaishi namna gani? Alafu Kanyari alikuwa ametoa excuse ya kwamba familia yake imeumia sana, ati sasa yeye pia ni mwanaume wa 50-year-old. Kanyari alibaka mtoto wa miaka 4 akiwa na miaka 50 yeye. He was 50. He was 50 years old, guys. Vile alibaka huyo mtoto. Kanyari alikuwa na miaka 50 alipobaka huyo mtoto. Na wanawake wanakaa kwa platform kumsupport. What kind of women do we have on TikTok? What kind of Kenyan women are on TikTok? And these are the women that sit on platforms to think that wako na akili, eti wako pale wana support. Kanyari alikuwa 50 years old aliposhika mtoto wa miaka 4 akabaka. Na unapata wanawake wajinga, wapumbavu, wamekaa kwa platform eti wanamsupport. Eti watu wanapaa kukaa na biological father. Shvindushi. Jinga. Fools. The women that keep taking us back when we are fighting issues about women. Wanawake wenye wanaturudisha nyuma kila siku when we try to fight about women's rights in Kenya. Every day. Kila saa. We try to move forward, they take us back. We move forward, they take us back with their stupid narratives and their thick-headed ideologies. Women who don't understand simple rights za wanawake. That a child is a child and should not be touched, and a child cannot consent. Fools. Small things that you need to know, the things that you need to be teaching on this platform. You sit on a platform and you're there talking, and there's a child that whose life was stolen. A baby whose life was taken away, changed by Kanyari. While Kanyari continues to thrive, while he bribes his way and sits there talking about religion, he uses the pulpit to brainwash, to harm. And you find women being the gatekeepers, women being the mboro protectors, women sitting on a platform trying to sanitize. Mbakaji. Mwanaume ambaye ati alikuwa amechukua mtoto, watoto walikuwa wanacheza pale nje. Na nitawasomea kesi ndio muelewe. Mtoto walikuwa wanacheza nje. This is the case. Before you go to the other case ya msichana wa miaka 11. Wajinga nyinyi. Mnaniambia nini? Mmekaa kwa platform ati mnajaribu kuambia nani? Mimi ati mnajaribu kuniambia nini? Na by the moderator, block umbo yote mwenye taniambia hapa nisome. Nitasoma, nilisema nitasoma, ni mimi nitasoma. Unasikia? Don't remind me ati soma. Unaniambia nisome kwa nini? Kila siku unaniambianga nisome. Am I not the one who said I'm going to read? Na nimesema uende mkasa ile nasoma pia una check what I'm reading. Go and download the document. Go to Google. Because this could be your child. You think that you are immune? Some of you think that you are immune to things like this. You think that your children are special. You think that you are safe. Watoto wako wako safe. Hawezi wakapatwa na mtu kama Kanyari. That's why you sit on platforms and try to talk about it as if it's ni kitu tu. a small thing. Fools. Idiots. In the case of Republic of Kenya versus Jackson Pelin, aka or alias Pastor Kanyari, that is versus Republic of Kenya, criminal appeal of E001 of 2022 KEHC 12110 KLR 26 May 2022. This is the judgment. It's a neutral citation 2022 KEHC 12110 KLR, Republic of Kenya in the High Court at Naivasha. Criminal appeal of E001 of 2021. GWN Macharia J, May 26, 2022, between Jackson Paylan alias Pastor Kanyari. And again, I'm repeating because I know this needs to be driven like a drill into the thick-headed women. When someone says Jackson Paylan alias Pastor Kanyari, it means that Jackson Paylan is the legal name on the ID. That is the name on the birth certificate. You understand? Okay? This is simple English. You need to understand. There is no court in Kenya that can listen or have documents filed without your legal names and your legal ID. For you to go to court in Kenya, there has to be a legal ID. You have to be identified. You must have an identity. What is your identity? Your real legal names and your ID, either your passport, your birth certificate, is used to identify who you are. That is what the government of Kenya does, because an identity has to be, a crime has to be linked to an identity, not just a name. Because anybody can be Victor Paylan, anybody can be Diana Rose. But how do you prove Diana Rose is Diana Rose? How do you prove I am Diana Rose? Because I can say I'm Diana Rose, but what's my real name? You have to have a legal document that is acceptable, okay? That is acceptable in our judicial process. And that is your national ID, your birth certificate, or your passport. Those are the legal documents that are acceptable in court. So when Jackson Paylan was arrested, he was arrested as Jackson Paylan. He was not arrested as Victor Kanyari. Victor Kanyari was his alias. That is a name that he uses to sensationalize and to create euphoria. That is his church name, his pulpit name. Is the one that he uses to promote religious propaganda and for his religious fanatics. That's the name he uses. His legal names are Jackson Paylan. And that is the name you will find in all his cases. Sawa. So when someone says AKA, it means he has other names. Vichwa Pomblo, mumesikia? Wajinga. Now I continue to read. So Jackson Paylan alias Pastor Kanyari is the appellant, Republic and respondent. The Republic of Kenya is the respondent. Being an appeal from the original, listen to this, being an appeal from the original conviction and sentence in the Senior Principal Magistrate Court at Engineer in criminal case number 50 of 2017 delivered by Honorable M. Mutua, RM, on the 22nd of August 2019. So this tells you that this is the appeal that happened. This is the judgment from the appeal. The lower court had found Kanyari guilty on the 22nd of August 2019. The lower courts found him guilty, and after he was found guilty, he went to appeal the decision of the lower courts. Okay? So this is the judgment, the decision that was made in the appeals. And it says judgment. The appellant Jackson Paylan, and I'm not Nanita Muita, the appellant Jackson Paylan Kanyari Mbakaji was charged with the offense of defilement contrary to section 8.1 as read with section 8.2 of the Sexual Offences Act number 3 of 2006. The particulars were that on the 6th day of December 2017 in Naivasha sub-county within Nakuru County, intentionally and unlawfully caused his penis to penetrate the vagina of P.O., a girl aged 4 years and 6 months. He penetrated the vagina of a P.O., a girl aged 4 years and 6 months. These are court documents describing what Kanyari did. Okay? He pleaded not guilty, okay, to both charges. Upon trial, he was convicted of the offense of defilement and sentenced to serve life imprisonment. Aggrieved by both his conviction and sentence, he preferred the instant appeal. Mnasikia? So, the grounds of appeal, I'm reading the document. The grounds of appeal that he did. The appeal is based on the following 4 grounds contained in his amended grounds of appeal, filed alongside his written submissions on November 29, 2021. He appealed in November 29, 2021, that he pleaded not guilty. That is one ground, which is useless. That his constitutional rights to a fair trial were violated by the trial court, that's the lower court. That crucial witnesses were not summoned by the prosecution to testify. That case for the prosecution was not proved to the required standard. Those were grounds for Kanyari, aka Mbakaji, the defiler of children, to appeal. Na nitakuwa namuita Kanyari Mbakaji kila siku. Ni Mbakaji, sitawacha kumuita hivyo. Sawa. Summary of evidence from the court, and I'm reading this to you, and you'll bear with me. It might be long. And again, let me say this, trigger warning. What I'm about to read may be disturbing for some viewers. Please, tafadhali, if you know that my life can trigger you or put you in a place of jeopardy, I'm going to ask you to kindly leave this live. I'm a person that believes so much in protecting survivors and victims, and I believe so much in respecting the feelings of people who have struggled and survived sexual abuse and sexual assault. I support victims any day, every day. So please, I'm gonna kindly ask that this live and what I'm about to read might be upsetting and might be triggering. Please, if you know that it might upset you in any way, please leave. Na moderators, block umbwa yote mwenye anakuja hapa kucheka. Block any dog that shows up in this live with their stupidity. Make sure una block. Ngoja kwanza niweke sticker. Where is the sticker? Wow. Sawa, nimeweka sticker. Now, I'm going to read for you the evidence that made Kanyari akakuwa convicted in the lower courts. So, this being a first appeal, it is the duty of this court to reconsider and reevaluate the evidence adduced and the submissions made in the trial court so as to arrive at its own independent conclusion. In so doing, this court is required to always bear in mind that it is neither saw or heard the witnesses as they could testified and must therefore give due allowance that in that regard. See Okeno to Republic 1972 EA 32. The court is making references as to why they must respect anything that is submitted in terms of evidence. The prosecution submits, and the prosecution case can be summarized as followed. On December 6, 2017, the complainant PW3 PO was playing with other children. When the appellant, who was known to her as Pastor Kanyari, and the court has quoted his name as quote unquote, Kanyari's name has been put in quotes in court. Okay? Sawa, as Pastor Kanyari called her to his house. He told her to remove her skirt, which she did. Thereafter, the appellant removed his own clothes and then he inserted his penis into her vagina. She cried due to the pain that she felt. After finishing, the appellant told her to go outside and play with her friends, but she went straight to her house. PW3's mother, PW1, IN, returned home later that day and found her seated at the door. A neighbor, known as Monica, passed by and informed her, PW1, that PW3 was walking abnormally. Kanyari alibaka mtoto mpaka alikuwa anatembea abnormally. Alibaka mtoto mpaka mtoto hangeweza kutembea vizuri. The neighbor noticed the child walking abnormally, and the neighbor named Monica was a witness in this case. Mnasikia? Walking abnormally. As such, PW1 took PW3 to the house and demanded to know why, whereupon PW3 told her that Pastor Kanyari had defiled her. PW1 examined PW3's private parts and she saw dried semen in the outer parts of her vagina. She immediately reported the matter to their village elder known as Mataka. The village elder informed her that the said Pastor Kanyari, in quotes, was well known to him and advised her to take PW3 to hospital for examination and treatment while he worked on causing his arrest. The appellant was arrested at around 6 a.m. on December 7th, 2017, and PW3 was able to identify him. Okay? As the Pastor Kanyari who defiled her. He then was escorted to Naivasha police station where PW1 reported the incident. Thereafter, PW1 was issued with a P3 form which she took to Naivasha District Hospital for filing. The matter was investigated by PW4 number 613C396 Corporal Otuke, formerly stationed at the Naivasha Police Station. He recorded statements after interrogations and visited the scene of crime. He also conducted inquiries around the village and ascertained that the appellant was also known as quote-unquote Pastor Kanyari, also known as Pastor Kanyari, during the trial. He produced both PW3's birth notification, which shows that she was born. The baby that Kanyari Alibaka was born on May 17th, 2013. Further, PW2 Benjamin Kuria, a clinical officer from Naivasha County Referral Hospital, testified on behalf of his colleague Faith Wanjiko, who examined PW3 but was away on leave. He stated that the medical examinations, which include on genital examination, PW3 had blood oozing from her vagina. This minor, 24 hours later, had blood oozing from her vagina. And I'm going to describe this so that you can understand it, how bad it was for this kid to be walking abnormally. Still had blood oozing from her vagina. Okay? And her hymen was broken. He also stated that the examination medical officer concluded that PW3 had been defiled, and in view of the aforesaid revelation, he produced the PW3 post-rape care form and P3 form filled on December 7, 2017. A post-rape care form is different from a P3 form. A post-rape care is the one that brings out the DNA evidences and matching from Pastor Kanyari's DNA to that one of the child. Because they tested the semen that was dry plus the blood that was oozing, and they found a positive match to Kanyari's. The appellant gave a sworn testimony in his defense. He testified that on December 6, 2017, he was in the house the entire day. The following day at 6 a.m., he had people asking whether he was in the house. He went outside and met two men who escorted him to the village elder's office. On their way there, he was assaulted by members of the public. Kanyari was claiming he was assaulted by members of the public. He was then arrested and taken to police station, where he was charged for the subject offenses. Analysis and determination. The appeal was canvassed by both written and oral submissions, which this court duly considered. The only issues for determination are: 1. Whether the appellant's constitutional rights were contravened during trial, whether the prosecution proved its case beyond reasonable doubt. Whether the appellant's constitutional rights were contravened during trial, I'm going to read that to you. The appellant submitted his constitutional rights to a fair trial was violated. In this regard, he faulted the trial magistrate for failing to inform him of his right to legal representation at the state expense Article 50 of the, as the state explained under Article 50 of the Constitution. So Kanyari was complained that he was not explained to by the system at that time that he had a right to legal representation. That is one thing that he complained about. Further, he complained that the prosecution furnished him with a charge sheet and statements prepared in English language, but the trial court did not bother to find out whether he understood the language well enough to enable him to defense or challenge the evidence. Kanyari was saying that he was presented with evidence and paperwork written in English, and apparently he did not know how to speak and understand English. So they did not consider that he doesn't know English. That's what the court document is saying. These were his defenses, okay? On the other hand, learned state counsel for the respondent submitted that the appellant was promptly supplied with the relevant statements and documents that the prosecution relied on, and did not at any point inform the trial court that he had a problem comprehending the case against him. Counsel also asserted that the appellant never raised the issue of legal representation before the trial court and appeal well versed with it. He was well versed with the case. So legal representation is a constitutional right envisaged in under the Article 52G(h) of the Constitution, which provides as follows: every accused person has a right to a fair trial, which includes the rights to choose and to be represented by an advocate and be informed of right promptly, to have an advocate assigned to the accused person by the state and the state expense if substantial injustice would otherwise result, and to be informed of this right promptly. It also provided for, it is also provided for under the Legal Aid Act 2016, Section 43 of the Act requires that an unrepresented accused be promptly informed of his or her right to legal representation. Further, Section 43 of the Act provides that where substantial injustice is likely to result, an unrepresented accused person should be promptly informed of the right to have an advocate assigned to him or her. I have carefully perused the trial court record, and at no point during the trial did the learned magistrate inform the appellant of his legal rights outlined above. Was this fatal to the trial? I did not think so. By the way, this is the judge talking, not me. Was this fatal to the trial? I did not think so. This is because Section 43, legal aid, clearly stipulates that the lack of legal representation cannot be the continuation of proceedings against a person unless substantial injustice is likely to occur. See also Republic of Karua Chongo and others, 2017 EKLR. The judge was quoting a case. The question as to whether substantial injustice may occur depends on the circumstances of each case. In determining this, Section 43 of legal aid requires the court to take the following into consideration: the severity of the charge sentence and the complexity of the case. Sawa sawa. Now we continue. This is the judgment now. The capacity of the accused to defend themselves. Now this is Kanyari being told by the court that the grounds that he brought were not substantial. And so he was being quoted for cases in point where if he needed legal representation, he should have asked for it. It was not on record that he asked for it, and it was not given to him. Everything was read to him. He was aware and very well conversant with the case. And so whatever issues he was raising were irrelevant and were not substantial enough for them to proceed and feel like his rights were violated. So now we go to the next part, where whether the prosecution proved its case beyond reasonable doubt. This is the part. Section 8 of the Sexual Offences Act provides following regard the offense of defilement. A person who commits an act which causes penetration with a child is guilty of an offense termed defilement. In determining this offense, the court is required to consider whether the prosecution proved the following ingredients to the required standard: penetration, age of the victim, and the positive identification of the appellant and the perpetrator of the offense. Did you hear that part? The age of the victim and the positive identification, which means the medical records needed to identify positively that what they found in the medical records of this child, including the DNA tests that were done on Kanyari, plus the semen and the blood that was using, was supposed to match. So this is what the court found, that there was a positive match. Okay? As regards to the victim, PW4 produced in evidence a birth notification which shows that the PW3 was born in May 17, 2013. Now that is evidence number 2 that shows that that was a minor. That was a minor that was born in May 17, 2013. It was therefore undoubtedly proven that PW3 was age 4 years old and 6 months at the time of the alleged offense, and she was thus a child as per Section 2 of the Children's Act Cap 141 of the laws of Kenya. As regards to elements of penetration, the appellant submitted that the medical evidence tendered by PW2, as here says, since PW2 did not state his qualification, that of Faith Wanjiku, who prepared the P3 and post-rape care forms. Further, he argued that the PW2 did not tender good reasons for Faith's failure to attend court, and this to unjustly deny him an opportunity to cross-examine her on the medical evidence. According to the prosecution, however, penetration was conclusively proved. So Kanyari was trying to say that the lady who was not present, that he wanted to cross-examine her, so she was not present, and that is reason enough for him not to believe what was presented. This is now the magistrate talking, the judge. In my view, PW's 3 account of alleged defilement was well corroborated by the medical evidence tendered by PWT, which shows that she had blood oozing from her vagina on examination of her genitalia, and her hymen was severely broken, which led the examining doctor to conclude that she had been defiled, and it was unusual for a person of her age. Further, I note that during the trial, the appellant did not raise the complaints he is purporting to raise now about the medical evidence, and neither did he object to the production of the same evidence. I am therefore satisfied that the prosecution established the element of penetration to the required standard. As regards to the identification of the appellant, there is no doubt that PW3 was a victim and the only eyewitness of the offense, as in the case of most sexual offenses. In her evidence before the trial, the court, PW3 gave a detailed and consistent account of what the appellant did to her, and she called for help and called for him when he called her to his house. She also stated that the appellant was known to her as Pastor Kanyari, since she had had other children whom she used to play with call him so. Further, I note that PW1 stated upon the appellant's arrest by the village elder Mataka that the next morning after the incident, PW3 was able to identify him as Pastor Kanyari who defiled her. She was able to recognize him even in court during trial. I also note that the trial magistrate had the advantage of observing PW3 and her demeanor firsthand as she testified and found her truthful. There is therefore no reason to interfere with the findings, which means that there is no doubt that the appellant was the perpetrator. Further, it was the appellant's submission that the prosecution failed to call crucial witnesses to testify in court. These were PW's husbands, Jackson, neighbor Monica, and Elder Mataka Esther, who was playing with the PW3, and other children. Nyumba Kumi elders who arrested the appellant. So Kanyari was calling for other people to be called into the case to testify. Like he was forgetting that the person he had defiled had identified him positively. But he was looking for people for Nyumba Kumi to come and speak in court, which had nothing to do with him penetrating a minor. Like, because the evidence that was presented was based on medical records, but he was going around saying that he wanted the people for Nyumba Kumi. So it is well settled that the prosecution reserves the right to determine the number of witnesses it deems sufficient to prove a fact. I have carefully perused the evidence on record, and I am able to see the benefit that the evidence of the aforesaid witnesses would have added, since the 4 witnesses called by the prosecution sufficiently established the case for prosecution. In the upshot, I find the prosecution proved its case against the appellant beyond any reasonable doubt. His conviction was therefore and well-founded and is accordingly upheld. This was the appeal that Kanyari made. So lastly, okay, so the conviction, that was life sentence that was rendered in the lower courts. Again, when he went to the Court of Appeal, his conviction was therefore well-founded. This is what the appeals court had determined, that his conviction was well-founded and accordingly upheld. Sawa sawa. In the present case, the record shows that the appellant was given an opportunity before the trial court to tender mitigation, wherein he stated, Kanyari the Mbakaji stated that he was 50 years old, married with children, and that his family was suffering because of the case. The trial court to the other noted that it had considered the appellant mitigation and the Supreme Court decisions of Francis Kariako Murathe, but took into account that the offense was heinous and should be punished to deter would-be offenders. Okay? On the part of this court, I cannot add more, save to emphasize the court is unable to fathom how a 50-year-old man in the person of the appellant could have the audacity to defile a 4-year-old child. This is beastly. The injuries inflicted on this child shall remain a sour memory for the rest of her life. They have totally ruined her life. The least the courts should do to such persons is completely remove them from the society so as to cushion helpless children such beastly attacks. For this reason, I cannot fault the learned trial magistrate exercise of his discretion to impose a life imprisonment. This means that the appellant case was proper and is accordingly affirmed. Conclusion, accordingly, the appeal lacks merit and is hereby dismissed entirely. It is so ordered. That is dated and delivered in Naivasha this 26th day of May 2022. G. Gwenye Macharia, judge in the presence of the appellant in person and styling as respondent. Sawa sawa. That is the evidence that you need. I've read the whole document. Go and download it. Meskia, Kanyari appealed the life sentence that was imposed upon him kwa kudefile mtoto wa 4 years and 6. When he appealed, his appeal was dismissed based on the evidence, and then the what was put there. He was supposed to be serving. He's supposed to be serving life imprisonment. Kanyari is supposed to be serving life imprisonment. That sentence still stands. So we want to know, the government of Kenya, ituambie hii kesi ilifika wapi? Kwa nini Kanyari yako nje? Ndio maana wanawake wajinga wako hapa wanamsupport. The judicial system is failing us. Nani, I know. And I'm going to make an appeal to Millie Mabona, Gladys Wanga, and all women legislators. Please, can you raise this in parliament? We need this. We want to know why Kanyari did not go to prison. We want to know why Kanyari is still walking free while the Court of Appeal dismissed his appeal. He was found guilty. There were medical records. Why the man is still walking free? Please, Millie Mabona and any other women legislators, please. Esther Passaris, tafadhali, all the people, Haki, Kenya, Amkeni, Africa, everybody. Okay, Amnesty International, please, we need to know why Kanyari is still out. We need to know why Kanyari is out. If we are going to mobilize women to go to the streets, we are going to do so. We are going to mobilize women to go to the streets in Kenya, in Nairobi. We are going to make sure we raid that church, and we are going to make sure we know why mtu ambaye alibaka mtoto wa miaka 4 akaenda mpaka appeals court na akapatwa kama bado ako guilty na kuna life imprisonment Kenya. We want to know why this man is still free today. We want to know why this man is sitting on a pulpit to brainwash women and children. We want to know why this man is being allowed to be near children and to even talk in public and sit with children, our little girls and boys, when he was found guilty in court. We want to know why Kanyari is free today. If the justice system lied to us, we want to know why this document is available online. We want to know why the court came up with this conclusion. We want to know that. Moving forward, we are not going to be negotiating. We are not going to be nice. We are not going to be happy. We are not going to wait and listen and watch a man mwenye alibaka mtoto aka take away the life of a 4-year-old girl in 2017 up to today. We want to know why Kanyari has not served his sentence. And that is the noise we are going to be making. That is the activism I'm going to be doing. People need to know that Kanyari alibaka mtoto wa miaka 4 na miezi 6 na akakuwa found guilty and he was sentenced to life. We want to know. We want to know where this baby is. We want to know where the parents is. We want to know where Monica is. We want to know what happened in Naivasha. We want to know if there were other victims, because it is stated clearly that Kanyari used to target children playing outside and he would call them and put them into his house. I believe this is not something that he did for the first time. I believe that if we continue doing research and digging more, we will find that Kanyari had targeted children more than just one. Can you imagine if you left the market or left work and you come back and find your neighbor telling you that your child who is 4 years old is walking abnormally? Imagine a 50-year-old forcing himself on a 4-year-old girl. Can you imagine? Can you imagine this man sitting on a pulpit to address us as nabii wa Mungu? Ati sasa kwa hivyo yeye sasa leo ni nabii wa Mungu, leo anakuja kutuambia mambo ya Mungu kama alibaka mtoto wa miaka 4 na miezi 6. And then the excuse that he gave the courts, that he is 50 years old, that he has a family, that his family is being destroyed, while he had wiped off the life of a 4-year-old. And you find women on this platform sitting down to discuss him as a man that they need to sanitize. Women on Kenyan TikTok sanitizing mbakaji ambaye alibaka mtoto wa miaka 4 na miezi 6. Mtoto ambaye alikuwa ameshindwa kutembea. Mtoto ambaye alipobakwa ile damu ilikuwa inatoka kiasi ambacho kilikuwa kinakuwa described as oozing. What a shame. Women sitting on a platform trying to sanitize this man. And Kanyari is now paying people on this platform to try and watoe uvumi na uchafu. Unasikia? To try and undermine what he has done. Kanyari atakuwa mbakaji jana, leo, kesho, mtondogo na kila siku. Nitamuita mbakaji mimi na sitaacha kumuita mbakaji. I will not stop talking about Kanyari and the case. We want to know. Kenyan women in parliament need to tell us why Kanyari hajapelekwa jela. Tunataka kujua what happened to the judicial system. We want to know why Kanyari is free today. We want to know why Kanyari was not taken to jail. We want to know why the welfare of our children is not prioritized. We want to know why tuko na mbakaji anasimama na ana preach mbele ya watu. Wacha ni block mbwa ingine hapa. What the heck? How did this dog come to my life? Hii mbwa imekuja kwa live yangu namna gani? Tafadhali moderators, can you block this decruise? Block hii mbwa. You block kabisa. Toa hiyo mbwa kwa live yangu. Kwenda na huko. How can we have mbakaji sitting on a platform talking to us about family, telling us how he's a good father? Hakuna mbakaji mwenye ni good father. There's no day. There is no day mbakaji atakuwa good father, and I've said it and I'm repeating it again. And by the way, there is a video of Kanyari holding the breast ya msichana wake. Sijui kama umeiona. Mumeona hiyo video akishika matiti ya Sky? Na wengine wenu mnasema there's nothing wrong with that. Some of you here have been saying there's nothing wrong with that. Unasikia? This is a man that has a history of kubaka mtoto wa miaka 4. Alafu kuna video yake anashika matiti ya msichana wake. Alafu nyinyi mko hapa niliona wengine tukiwa kwa platform ya Rising wakisema wanawake wenye wako na akili zao. Wanawake kwa hii platform, what's wrong with you? Mko na akili? Mko na akili zenu timamu? Mko na akili zenu ama nyinyi ni wajinga? Mmekuwa wajinga? Ati mko pale hivyo mnasema eti sioni kitu mbaya kama hiyo. Basi peleka msichana wako akaguzwe hivyo na Kanyari. Peleka tuone. Take your child. Who's this? She left. If it was going to be a safe home for her, she would still be there. That's the truth. Betty left because it was unsafe for her. Betty left because she felt that her children did not need to be in that space. She felt it was not safe for her. There is no woman that goes away from a space that is safe for her. No way. She knew. That's why she left. And then there are women here who are talking about Kanyari being the biological father. That's bullshit. The fact that you're the biological father of the children does not mean anything. Mtoto ni kulea, sio kuzaa. Mtoto ni kulea, sio kuzaa. There are so many parents that lose their children in quotes every day. They are biological parents and the children are taken away from them because they are not fit to provide a good environment to raise children. That's the truth. So some of you and your arguments, they don't make sense. Okay? And if you read the Children's Act, that was the one that Cliff Ombeta, Cliff Ombeta, the attention seeker, was using to talk about Kanyari having custody of the kids. And then again, read it further, you will understand that defilement is one offense under the Sexual Offences Act that can make you lose complete custody of the children. And I believe it is important for anybody who is related to these children to start the right process to make sure that Kanyari has no anywhere near these children. He's a danger. It doesn't matter. And for the fools writing here that the children love their dad, children will even visit their fathers who are on death row in prison. Umesikia? That argument does not sit. Umesikia? Stop talking like that. Watoto who visit watoto wao wenye baba zao wenye wako mpaka jela. Wana visit watoto baba zao. Watoto wanapendanga mababa zao wenye wako hata kwa jela. You think that because a child loves a father, it means that the father is good for them. No, that's not enough. The father is the adult. The adult has to provide a good environment. The adult has to have a good environment, a safe environment for the child to thrive in. That's what usually happens. The decision is granted by the courts, but based on many factors. Tumeelewana? That is what usually happens. But you can't sit here and you start saying ati mtoto anafaa kufanya nini ati kwani Kanyari alizalia mwana mwingine. Atazalia mwana mwingine kama wanaume wengine kama wewe Bushiri Victor mnazalia wanawake wengine. Mnajifanya hapa ati sasa mnaanza kudefend Kanyari, na nyinyi mwenye mnadefend watoto wenu hata mjui penye wako. A lot of you men have children out of wedlock. You don't even know where your kids are. Where are your children? Si mnanikwanga hapa kila siku. Mmekataa kulisha watoto wenu. Mnakuja hapa kujifanya eti mna defend Kanyari. Where are your children? Watoto wenu wako wapi? Most of you that are talking about Kanyari na mnamsupport, mumezalisha wanawake hapa. Tunaletewa kesi zenu kila siku. Si mnanikwa hapa kila siku. Kwani hatuwaoni? Mnakuja hapa na makesi 24/7. Wengine wenu mnakuja hapa mnatudanganya ati mko na watoto kwa mochari. Bado tunatafuta mpaka leo. Si tunatafuta watoto wenu kwa mochari mpaka leo. Mnajifanya hapa ati mnajua kujua. Na nimeona watu wameanza sasa kulipwa kuharibu jina ya Betty. I'm saying this and I'm saying this very clearly. Listen. Betty Bayo is dead. Tarnishing her name is not going to do anything. What is important right now is the safety of the children. And we must talk about Kanyari and his history ya ubakaji. Whether you like it or not. Hatutaacha. Umesikia? Betty will not respond to you. She's gone. Sawa. She left a clear legacy. And Betty lived a life that she recognized her power, she recognized her safety, and we must commend her for that. Betty has more courage than many of you. Unasikia? How many women are not able to leave toxic unions? How many women are not able to leave abusive men? How many women are stuck in relationships that are bad, that are abusive, that are dirty, that are degrading, and are not able to leave? But Betty Bayo managed to leave a bad relationship with a bad man, okay? She managed to leave, she picked up her pieces and built another life with another man. There is power in that. And you're out here judging her. Nobody. People should learn from her. She is a clear example of a woman that recognized her power. She recognized abuse and decided this is not what she wants. And she decided to move and find a better life. She loved herself. She loved her children. She wanted to create a good environment for her children. That is the legacy of Betty Bayo. Whether you people try to erase it or not, it is there. It is stuck, and we will remember because we know. We know the history of Kanyari. We know what happened with 310. We know how he tried to coach women. He tried to fake miracles. He tried to create lies about treating HIV. We know his history. And Betty was not okay with that. If Betty was a bad woman, she would have become a pastor with Kanyari. She would have been a senior pastor in Kanyari's church. Betty Bayo would have been preaching the gospel of 310. But she refused because she recognized her power. She loved herself. She refused a lie. She rejected a lie. She rejected a con man, she rejected a rapist, and Betty Bayo took her power back. That is what Betty Bayo did. And Betty Bayo, though, in her death, we will remember her activism. Betty Bayo is the example that any woman that is struggling to leave a bad relationship should follow. If Betty Bayo managed to get herself out of that, then you too can. Any woman that is struggling in an abusive relationship, is struggling to leave a man that is very abusive, narcissistic, controlling, and a liar and mbakaji, should follow the footsteps of Betty Bayo. That is the gospel we need to know. That is the real true gospel, because Betty was an activist. Betty was an activist at heart. She showed it not just in the gospel that she preached, but also in the choices that she made for her children. Betty was a mother that loved her children. Betty was a woman that valued the welfare of her children. A woman that wanted the best for her children. A woman that chose herself more than anything else. A woman that recognized that being married is not everything. A woman that chose peace. A woman that chose building a life outside of the toxicity that involved Kanyari and his conmanship and his lies. Betty did not want her children growing up with a man that had defiled a minor. Betty did not want to be associated with Mbakaji. That is why she left. And Betty left with grace. She left with respect. She never decided to make it an opportunity for her to be jumping from media station to another. She did not do that. Betty recognized her power. And she knew that she was wounded, and she knew that she needed to heal. Betty decided to build herself again. And Betty found love. Betty found a marriage with a man that cared for her, a man that legitimately married her, showed her love, brought a home for her. Betty wanted a peaceful home for her children. And Betty made sure that when she got married, her children were recognized by the man that she also loved. Betty knew the amount of toxicity that she was coming from. And so she made a choice that was good for her children. That is why her children speak highly of Tash. If her children were in a toxic environment, they would not be speaking highly of Tash. They speak highly of that man because their mother brought them in a space where they were shown love, something that they did not get. That is what is happening. And now Kanyari wants to use these innocent children to sanitize himself, that he's called a good father just because he's the biological father. No. The fact that you are the biological father father of children is not enough. Watoto hata kama ni wake, it does not matter. Mtoto ni kulea, sio kuzalisha. And that is what we need to continue pushing for, because when we talk about violence against children, the highest form of violence against a child is defilement. If Kanyari has the courage to violate a baby that is 4 years old in 6 months, Kanyari is a danger to every child that comes near him. That is the truth. In fact, Kanyari should be listed as a sex offender. Everybody everywhere should know that he is a sex offender. It's important that we do so. So personally, I am going to be pushing this government so that we know and we understand why Kanyari has not started serving his sentence. Kanyari should be in jail for life imprisonment. That is what the sexual offenses are. That is what the penal code states, because the child was alikuwa amebakwa akiwa na miaka 4. The court records are there. They are clear, and we do not need to continue sanitizing a man that harmed a child. We shouldn't. And I'm saying this very clearly. I will continue to talk about Kanyari. I will continue to preach the gospel about Kanyari, and I will continue to call him out every day. I will continue asking and holding this government and the judicial system accountable. I will continue appealing to the Kenyan women legislators in parliament to raise this issue in parliament and ask what the judicial system is doing, why Kanyari is still sitting on a pulpit to preach for people, and why children are still allowed near Kanyari. It's important that we ask and hold our leaders accountable. Sawa sawa. We need to know why this man is still out here. We need to know that. We will continue to make sure the message about Kanyari being Mbakaji is put out there. Watu watajua, watu waumini na kila mtu anafaa kujua ya kwamba huyu mwanaume alibaka mtoto na akapatikana mara 2 kotini ya kwamba yeye ni mbakaji. And we will continue to call out the women on this platform that sit to support a man ambaye alibaka mtoto wa miaka 4. We shall not stop. It is something that we shall continue to do, because social justice calls us to do so. We will continue educating. If you believe that children should be growing in environments that are safe, Kanyari needs to be in jail. And that's the truth of the matter. So when I see a group of buffoons sitting on a platform trying to discuss and underrate and undermine the truth which was found, evidence that was found in courts, medical evidence that was discussed and tabled in court about Kanyari, I'm perplexed. Mboro protectors, fools. And I would also appeal for people to read so that you know when people use the word alias. You need to know that. Okay, I've always said that most people here have a comprehension problem. Some of you will talk about being academicians while you cannot understand simple English. The word alias is used when you're talking about other names. Don't get it twisted. Don't get it twisted. So I'm going to be calling out the women, Kenyan women in parliament, because it is important that we do so. That is their duty. Legislature and asking. It's so important that we do so. And by the way, I am making it my duty. Guys, kama unajua you had any experience with Kanyari, feel free. I will host you on my live. If you know that you experienced anything with Kanyari, I'm making it public. My DMs are open. I want to be highlighting cases and issues about Kanyari. Anything you've experienced with him, I want to put it out here. Sawa sawa. Mimi, my purpose is to protect the victims and to highlight their stories and to make sure perpetrators are exposed. And you know, one fact, when you defend a man that defiles a child, you are also capable of defiling a child. Anytime you are defending a man that defiles and there is records and there is evidence about this man defiling a child, when you sit on a platform to defend him, wewe pia ni mbakaji. Any woman that supports a man that alibaka mtoto pia ni mbakaji. That is a woman that you should never leave your child near. Usiwahi kuachia mwanamke kama huyo mtoto wako, nimewaambia. Kwa sababu wanaweza wakabaka, wakaguza watoto wako vibaya. Nimesema hivyo. And a lot of these women on this platform need education. Mavicho pomblo. Thick-headed fools. sitting on a platform trying to discuss what they know nothing about. Go and read. And I've told you, take your time, go and read cases about Pelin, Jackson Pelin. Kijana, leo, kesho, mtondogo na mtondo and everything. He is hata wacha kukua. Ajos nangu siepa. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Sawa. Ataendelea kukua mbakaji jana, leo na kesho, because ukiwa mbakaji you don't change, you don't stop from being mbakaji. Utakuwa mbakaji kila siku mpaka siku ambayo utakufa, utakuwa mbakaji. Na hivyo ndio vile iko. Sawa. Yes, that is how it's going to be. So when you sit on a platform to defend a person mwenye alikuwa amebaka mtoto mdogo wa miaka 4, mtoto mwenye bado alikuwa anatoka damu mpaka kesho yake akiwa anafanyiwa medical examination, where's your conscience as a woman? Uko na akili? Bewiti hiyo. Dongifuo. Siwe ni mjinga. Ukifanya vitu kama hizo, wanawake wajinga. Ati uko pale eti unamdefend. What are you defending? Stupid women. Jinga. Shameless twats. Hebu kwanza tu nini? Nimesikia nimekuwa na hasira. And I say again, Betty Bayo's a soul, rest in peace. And these people that are coming up with stories that I don't know, machine ilifungwa, sijui machine ilifanywa. We know very well what Kanyari is doing. Anasema ati ex wake anaweza kufuata na nini na panga. Kwenda huko jinga. Hata ujiheshimu, ati you are standing to try and degrade and downgrade Betty. Betty is a powerful woman, way more powerful than you. Even in her death, she's more powerful than you. You will never be more powerful than Betty. Hala, hutawahi kukua recognized kama Betty. Wewe nani atakuzika kama si huyo ndugu yako mbakaji? Takataka hii. Wewe hata rais mmoja ataweza kukutolea hata 100,000 kwa matanga yako. Mjinga. Can't you see the way people rallied around Betty? Kichwa kubwa mwenye ana akili. Ati uko pale unataka wewe utaongea nini juu ya Betty wewe? Wewe ngoja ya kwako bwana, chunga ya kwako mjinga. Shika podium ama tunajaribu kusema unaita Betty ati ni super glue. Betty ni super glue. Kama Betty ni super glue wewe ni nini? Kama Betty ni super glue wewe ni nini? Wewe ni gorilla glue mjinga. Super glue. Wewe basi ni gorilla glue. Sababu unaingilia vitu zenye si zako, unataka kushikanisha kwa familia yenye si yako. Mambo ya kwa Betty inakuhusu aje wewe? Kuna mtu alikuita? Betty alikuja kwako kuishi? Shame on you. Wanaume wenye wapati wanawake peace wakienda kwa kuishi makwa. Women, angalieni hizi maboma mnaenda kuoleka bwana. Angalieni sasa, sikia takataka kama huyo. Who wants that stupid man as a brother-in-law? Nani? Betty recognized what she needed. That's why alitoka kwa hiyo space. Space yenye kuna wanaume wajinga kama wewe. Unasimama mbele ya watu eti unasema ati unaweza ukakimbiza ex na panga. Kwani huko kwenu nyinyi wauaji? Mnaua watu huko kwenu? Kumbe nyinyi wauaji, unatuambia in public eti mnaua watu. Mjinga. Ona vile unakaa. Kwanza huyu mwanaume anakaa aje? Nilimwangalia vile anakaa, alikuwa anakaa kama mkate ambaye imeingizwa kwa maji akafinyika hivi. Takataka hii. Ati Betty ni super glue. Huyo super glue anakuwa recognized na ma-president wote. Hebu angalia. Hata Kibaki angekuwa angemrecognize. Takataka hii. Wewe nani anakujua? Nani anakujua? Kama sio hizi za kwenu zenye zinafuata matako yako ukishakunia kama umeshindwa kujipanguza vizuri. Mjinga. Mwanaume mwenye akifungua mdomo mavi ndio inatoka kwa mdomo yake. Takataka hii. Useless. Ati uko pale unaanza kuita Betty ati ni super glue. Gorilla glue wewe. Unaanza kuingia kwa places that you don't need to go to. Kaa kwa kutulia bwana. Na hiyo boma yenu yenye iko na watu wenye wamechizi. Hawana heshima kwa mwanamke ambaye alikuwa ameingia pale ni kama amekuja kama bibi. Kumbe mlikuwa mnataka kumtumia. Nani anajua kama ulikuwa mnataka hata kumtoa kafara? Wajinga nyinyi. That's why she left. Kama mngekuwa wazuri angekaa hapo kwa nini? Kumbe alijua mngemkimbiza na mapanga. Unakuja hapa kutestify ati X, ati unakimbiza na panga. You have no value for relationships or family. That's why you talk like that. Shame on you. Nilikuwa nimemsahau hiyo takataka. Familia ya wabakaji na fake pastors na brainwashers. Rest in peace, Betty Bayo. I will still mourn for you because I realized that you died a powerful woman. A woman that recognized your power, recognized your safety, recognized the love that you deserved. Rest in peace. You are a good example to our girls. Nimesema hivyo. And also, in regards to Betty Bayo, please, dear women, let us promote preventative care. Let us learn to be going to the hospital not only when we are sick. We should be going to the hospital the moment we sense anything wrong is going on with us. Ukisikia umechoka, ukisikia ni kama hujisikii vizuri, tafadhali prioritize going to the hospital. Let us also prioritize getting medical insurance. Sawa sawa. Preventative care is something that we should always enhance. Sawa sawa. Tafadhali, So Betty Bayo has died a hero. Sawa sawa. Most of you are going to see her as a gospel artist. No, that's not how I see her. I'm seeing Betty Bayo dying a hero, dying a feminist that recognized her power. She's left a good example because she decided to live a story of power, a story of grace. She's died a legend, a woman that decided that she's not gonna stay with a man that anabaka mtoto, akatoa watoto wake na akaondoka. Sawa sawa. How many of you live relationships na mnashindwa kupata wanaume because you're scared? Betty Bayo got her power back and she's died a hero. She made sure she did not die in the hands of a mbakaji. Rest in peace, Betty bwana. Lodgings and hotels, that is adult stuff. If Betty Bayo was promoting lodging and all that, that is stuff for an adult. And please, this is not the time. Tafadhali kama mko na roho, tafadhali. The loss of a mother is very, very deep and it affects deeply. Allow Sky and the brother to mourn for their mother. Tafadhali. Mnajua uchungu ya kupoteza mama, hao watoto wataanza kuijua mama atakapozikwa. Tafadhali wachaneni na stori za kujaribu kupromote biashara zenu sa ile watoto wanaomboleza mama yao. It's very bad, it's very wrong, it's very selfish. This is not about your businesses. Tafadhali, can you please stop? It is wrong. I also think that you people need to protect that child. Jamani, stories za kupromote travel and tours zina include malodgings na malodges. Tafadhali, Sky is not an adult. Unataka mtoto aanze kupromote lodging pali watu wanaenda kulalana? Please stop that. Tafadhali acheni huyo mtoto. Leave that kid alone. Let her be a child. Let a child be a child. Let a child be a child. Protect that child. Allow these children to mourn for their mother. Nimeona mko busy sana, mko hapo hivyo mnatem, lakini ninajua ni biashara zenu mna promote and it's very selfish and it's very greedy. Sawa sawa. Otherwise, thank you very much everybody for coming to my small TED talk. Na wapenda nyote. Wacheni tukutane kule nje. Sawa sawa. And Betty, I believe will continue resting in peace. Na wacheni niwaambie, it shall be well. Sawa sawa. It shall be well. It shall be well. We will continue talking about wabakaji as we should. We will not stop. Thank you very much for coming to my TED talk. Na wanawake musome so that you don't embarrass yourself. Go and read. Take a book and read. Sawa sawa. So you don't come on a platform and try and talk about things that you know nothing about. Sawa. Thank you. It's Elias, and an alias is a pseudonym. It's like AKA, and it can be used to define other names that other people use. Sawa sawa. Don't make a fool of yourself. Bye bye. Tukutaneni kule nje. By the way, this is the home of JBL. Musisahau. Don't forget that. Kwani hii kitu inajifu. Sasa hii ni maneno gani? Nani wasi ngojeni. Wait, wapi checkers? Let me share this live with checkers. Ako wapi? Mliona hiyo video yenye Kanyari alikuwa anashika matiti ya mtoto? Useless bagabenia. Ngoja nifunge hii kitu inakata kwenda. Koma. Aya, bye.
So thank you so much for watching the video to the end. Remember to like, share, comment, and if you have not subscribed, please make sure you subscribe and put on the notification bell so that you know every time I post a new video. So guys, thank you. I'm gonna see you on my next video. Bye.